From a violent, bloody, maze-building roguelite to a baffling bullet hell arcade classic reborn, this week's Indie Spotlight features 3 indie games that will twist your reality. Greetings, Indie Warriors! My name's OldGamer Joe, and on today's Indie Spotlight, the show where we highlight 3 recently released or upcoming indie games, we've got a maddening mix of indie gaming goodness that you won't want to miss. So hit that subscribe button if you dare and join me as we descend into craziness. Time for a mind freak, but real quick, free your mind of dishonest coverage and support indie visibility over at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames. You'll gain Discord access to the greatest indie gaming community, enjoy early ad-free shows, a shout-out at the end of every video we produce, our podcast 3 days early, but best of all, you're supporting indie visibility. Your new indie gaming community is waiting for you. Alright, first up on this week's Indie Spotlight, we played a game called Mind Diver, which just recently dropped on the 28th of September, 2025. It's a game that wastes no time throwing players into its unusual world, having you explore the inner workings of the human mind from the first-person perspective. Armed with a bizarre tool that allows you to listen to echoes of memories and restore them to memory holes, you'll need to piece together those memories through listening to snippets of conversations or picking up random items. Our story begins with a missing persons case as you search for a man named Sebastian through the mind of Lena, his girlfriend. The answers to where Sebastian has wound up exist somewhere within Lena, and by using experimental equipment, you'll slowly start to piece it all together. At least that's the hope. As you can probably already tell by looking at it, Mind Diver is anything but conventional. Its abstract art could be described as beautifully broken, with shattered, distorted 3D textures and set pieces that resemble dioramas, including fixed characters and objects that really don't animate outside of a halo that illuminates when certain characters are speaking. Mouths don't move, eyes don't blink, and while there's some color and vibrancy from location to location, most of Mind Diver's environments feel like still playgrounds for you to explore. Overall, the game is quite impressive from a visual standpoint and manages to create an immersive atmosphere. Further heightening the visuals are beautifully somber piano pieces, strong voice performances, and great sound effects, whether you're swimming through the endless ocean that is Lena's mind or scrolling the menus piecing together clues. But for as impressive as the visual and audio design of Mind Diver are, the game as a whole is still very much an acquired taste that's likely to only appeal to a limited audience. From a gameplay standpoint, Mind Diver just isn't all that fun to play so far. The game feels like a series of fetch quests put together in the most convoluted way, making simple tasks such as finding items to fill in the blanks feel overly complicated. Diving through portals to get to memories only to dive through more portals is an obnoxious affair. It feels like the developers could have more easily streamlined things so as to not waste the player's time, but with so much back and forth, I quickly found myself disconnecting, despite having some degree of interest in the overall plotline. There were so many times where I needed just one more piece of information to advance, which took an obnoxious amount of time and trial and error just to discover. Based on the few hours I've played, Mind Diver is an interesting experiment, but not a particularly compelling gameplay experience. Even with some great voice performances and visuals, its gameplay drags it down to a crawl that was just a bit too slow for my taste. There's certainly some interesting ideas presented here, and I would love to see this concept further explored in the future, full of more interesting gameplay components hopefully, so we'll just have to see what's next from this young developer. A neat idea, but not all that fun based on the few hours I spent with it. Let's dive deeper into your mind with a freaky release coming from Devolver Digital. No official release date, but a demo did just drop kinda out of nowhere this past weekend. This is Minos, a self-described maze-building roguelite. In this title, you control a minotaur and must set a variety of traps and build up your maze to defend your sanctuary from evil no-gooders, evil doers, evil guys, I guess. The game is quite deep, as you can find out now for yourself, with a bevy of upgrades, tools at your disposal, multiple currency systems, and branching paths so that every run is unique in traditional rogue fashion. Labyrinths are always a little mind-bending, aren't they? And that's no different here, as you carefully plot how to defend yourself from each new wave of foes. You also have control over your minotaur. Before a new wave begins, you'll be setting your traps, potentially purchasing new ones, and making adjustments to the maze itself by demolishing and building up walls. The hope is to lead enemies to their demise with as little physical confrontation as possible. Now that doesn't mean you won't get your hands dirty, as you can approach enemies and take things into your own hands, but your health is limited, and once it runs out, yeah, you guessed it, your run is over, finished, finito. If you do manage to succeed, God willing, you'll be richly rewarded with various perks and experience that, of course, makes you more powerful for subsequent runs. It's a pretty standard roguelite loop with some really interesting twists and visuals that look straight out of hell in a good way. The sound design is great great too, fully taking advantage of my surround sound system. I caught myself looking behind the couch a few times wondering where the hell that noise came from, mainly when planting down slabs of walls and traps. This is a really neat game, pretty deep, that has tons of potential, and hopefully we see it released sooner rather than later. The demo is public now, so give it a go for yourself. Definitely seems to have that Devolver Digital mark of quality to it. The last game on this mind-bending list is a bit of a fever dream. It's Mamorukun Recurse, a newly remastered version of a Japanese arcade game that was released in 2008. It's a spastic shooter that is viciously challenging, well, if you choose for it to be anyways, as there are plenty of difficulty options available in this new port. The game is a vertical bullet hell shooter where you select between a variety of different anime-themed characters and blast down freaky-looking foes, turning them into candy with your curse shot. The original developers of this game, G-Rev, were founded by previous employees of Taito's arcade division, and were known for creating wild arcade shooters just like this one. Players can move around the screen freely, shooting in multiple directions, collecting various items and power-ups, which in turn make your shot more powerful. Your curse bullet can be charged by holding down the appropriate button, and the longer it's charged, the more power it gains. However, cursing your foes makes them more violent towards you, but you will gain a higher score, making it a bit of a risk-reward element. Players can also choose between twin-stick controls or the original arcade format in this version. The game features quite a few different modes, including arcade, story, and netherworld adventures, which are essentially a series of different challenges. You can also choose up to 3 characters, as when one dies, you'll have a few backups. Outside of the modernized control scheme, the game now features widescreen support and improved visuals and audio over the original game. All told, it's a cute, weird-ass shmup that I don't think anyone was expecting to release again anytime soon, and sadly, with just 20 or so reviews on Steam so far, it feels like perhaps not many gamers even noticed this came out, which is a shame. But if you're a fan of the genre, there's plenty to like here that makes it worth at least tossing onto your wishlist, even if it's a bit of a mind freak. And that's it for this edition of Indie Spotlight. Did you get freaked out? It wasn't that scary, was it? Are you a little perplexed now? Well, thank you for all that you do for independent content. Maybe you'll consider adding one of these to your collection. Voice to the voiceless, and we will see you on the channel for all the latest indie gaming coverage.